magical beasts, mythical beasts, this ever-evolving title that I'm going with this series. We talked about various creatures and beasts inside various areas in Europe. We talked a little bit of China and Japan as well. So today I thought we'd go all the way over and do North America. Mostly in America, but a little bit in just the continent in general. So up first, we have the Wendigo. So the Wendigo is a spirit that is found within the lore of various Native American cultures, mostly up north. This spirit is known to possess humans who fall prey to them. The Wendigo drives the host mad and makes them kind of monstrous, and as you can kind of see with some artist renditions here, the people who get the Wendigo spirit inside of them, they get this insatiable hunger that just drives them to just greed and murder and all sorts of carnal sins and taboos, but also a literal hunger. So it's one that will drive the host to cannibalism. They're often thought to be found up north, and that's because they often thought to prey on people who get lost and stuck in the harsh cold and the snow, and they take over when they're weak. And we have the Mishipishu, or the underwater panther. So Mishipishu translates into the Great Lynx.
Yeah. Want anything else? No.
This is a water creature that has the head and the paws of a giant cat. Yeah, it's covered in scales and has spikes that run along its back and tail. They are usually found residing in the Great Lakes. In particular, there's a lot supposed to be found in I forget the name of the island, but it's in Lake Superior, because all these lakes are so giant they have big islands in them. And yeah, so there's supposed to be a lot in Lake Superior, and they're seen in that area of America and in Canada. They're thought to be very powerful beings from the underworld and master of all water creatures. And then we have the slide rock bolter. This one is less of a mystical or divine creature, more just folklore. The sightings and the stories of this the slide rock bolter come from lumberjacks during the 19th and early 20th century. It pretty much is only contained to mountains in Colorado. So it lives on slopes, but very steep slopes that are like more than 45 degrees. It has an immense head, as you can see in these images here. It has small eyes, a large mouth, and it has a tail that's similar to a dolphin, but the tail also has like claws that it hooks onto the mountain with. The bolter basically waits atop the mountain slope for an unsuspecting victim or victims, be it an animal or a human. And when something comes below its slope and it's ready to eat, the slide rock bolter will slide down the slope with its mouth wide open, swallowing everything in its path and breaking trees. You can tell a slide rock bolter has been through an area because of the giant path of like destruction that it leaves with the broken trees and loose rock. And there's a cute little funny image that was found. And then we have the Nanabazo, or the Nana Bush. This is a supernatural being stemming from, various Native American cultures. It's the embodiment of life and energy. It creates life. It's a shapeshifter, and having been seen taking the form of a raven or a coyote and even a hare. It can also take a very diverse number of forms and personalities as well. So while it does protect creatures in life and nature, it is also a trickster type of spirit, like Loki or any other similar spirit, and it is known for its mischief. There are many stories of the Nana Bush and his adventures and misadventures, and he also shows up in various stories and literature. And up next we have the Turtle Island, and this is one of my favorites because this is basically a creation story of the American continent. So the story varies as it comes from multiple cultures and native nations across America, and it's also similar to many of the other stories around the world of the world turtle, which I also find very interesting that this one singular type of creation story has traversed the entire world. So it's one version of the story, states that the world as a whole was flooded and cleansed of all the feuding humans that were destroying the world. So, but some animals did survive, like the loon, the muskrat, and the turtle. The Nana Bush, like I mentioned before, was also present. The Nana Bush asked the animals to swim deep into the ocean, all the way to the ocean floor, and bring soil back up to recreate the lands. One by one, the animals attempted to bring the soil back up, and one by one, they failed. So the muskrat tried. It dove down and was under for a very long time. It finally resurfaced, but it did not survive the journey back up. However, its great sacrifice was not for naught. The muskrat had soil in its paws. The Nana Bush took the soil and asked Turtle to hold the land as on its mighty back. And this was the start to what eventually became the Americas and the rest of the world. Another version starts in the stars where the sky people lived. There was a pregnant sky woman who fell down to the earth and was guided to a turtle's back by birds. The woman was very grateful, and to show her gratitude, she created the land on the turtle's back. Then we have the Thunderbird. A lot of you probably know the Thunderbird or heard of the Thunderbird. It's one of the more well-known stories in various Native American cultures. It's a creature of immense power and immense size. The bird can create lightning. When it flaps its wings, it creates thunder. For some cultures, it controls the upper world, while the underwater panther that I talked about before controls the underworld. It is sometimes told, depending on the culture of the story again, that they live on a great mountain that floats and lives in the sky. They control the rain and the hail. They're messengers of the great sun himself and battle the great horned serpents who try to devour the humankind. And we also included a couple of these graphs that I just want to show of real birds, because it's very well possible that what the ancient cultures thought of as thunderbirds were real birds, because even today we have like the condor and the brown eagle and even the great barned owl they're practically bigger than man, and they're still around. And some other giant birds that we've had. So this is one that could very well possibly be based off of real creatures. Did they control lightning and the weather and thunder? Who knows? Maybe. Then up next is the horned serpent. So this is a large underwater serpent. It's covered in iridescent crystalline scales, and it has a crystal on its forehead. And of course, it being horned, has horns on its head. The scales and crystals can be used for divination, and the horn can be used for medicine. In some cultures, they are dangerous and try to eat mankind, like I mentioned before, the thunderbirds, while others say they are not malicious and do not harm humans at all. There's some sculptures and drawings of the horned serpent. And then we have the rainbow crow, which the rainbow crow is more of a story than, and it is a legendary creature, but it's more of a story of how crows came to be and look as they are. It's from the Lenape area in cultures, which I hope I'm pronouncing that right, which is a few of the Native American nations and areas. I did have this whole story that I rewrote out, but then I found the most amazing video, so I'm just gonna play that, because if someone does it better, why not use it? So here's this video. Can you guys hear it?
Yes.
Okay, good, because I couldn't remember if I
In the beginning, the
hit
world was warm
share sound.
and the creatures lived in perpetual summer. But when the Creator thought of snow and ice, winter came. The ground became hard.
Could you turn the volume up, Wren?
And food scarce. Someone must journey to the heavens, said Wise Owl, and ask the Creator to unthink winter, else we shall surely starve. Rainbow Crow.
Okay, I think it's better. It's better now.
It's better? Okay.
To make the journey.
Thanks.
He flew for 3 days and 3 nights, through the trees and the clouds and the stars. He flew higher than any bird had ever flown, until, at last, he found the Creator. The Creator was most pleased, and in return offered him a gift. Great Spirit, said Rainbow Crow, will you not unthink winter and return warmth to the world? But the Creator could not unthink winter, for once a thing was thought, it could not be unthought. Do not despair, said the Creator, and he took a stick and thrust it into the sun. This is fire. It will keep you warm, but it will burn quickly. So hurry back, Rainbow Crow, before it burns out. Rainbow Crow flew as fast as he could, but the journey back was long. The stick burned shorter and shorter, and the fire got closer and closer. Soon his beautiful feathers were scorched and burned, and his lungs were filled with smoke and soot. But Rainbow Crow did not let go. He flew and flew, and finally, in a ball of flames, he fell from the sky, bringing fire to the world. And all the creatures thanked him and rejoiced. But Rainbow Crow could not rejoice, for he had burned his beautiful feathers and scorched his beautiful voice. One night, the Creator spoke to him on a breath of wind. Do not despair, brave crow. When people come, and they will, no man will ever cage you for your fine song, and none will ever hunt you, as you will taste of smoke. But those who look closely will see you have not lost all your beauty. And it's true. The next time you see a crow feather and it catches the sun just right, you will notice a rainbow sheen amongst the black, and be reminded of the noble Rainbow Crow.
So that's a quick retelling of the story of the Rainbow Crow. And, you know, obviously I have a bias with birds because I'm Wren, but that one in particular I really, really enjoyed. And that's why that's one of the reasons, I should say, there's multiple reasons why a lot of the various cultures you see honor and revere the crow. Because he gave this